Hello, I'm Betty Glaspy, a longtime member of St. Thomas, and I am the chair seat of our 150th anniversary in Ennis, Texas. And today I have with me some good friends who have been members of St. Thomas for a while, Linda and Neal Blackstone. So we're just going to visit a little bit about our history and what we have done in the past. My first question, and maybe Linda, I'll start with you if that's okay. How did you become an Episcopalian, and when did you join St. Thomas?
Well, I was a cradle Catholic and moved away from that, and my cousin, and we all know, Jan Glaspy, pestered me to come to St. Thomas, and finally I did, and it felt like home. That was in sometime mid-2005, and I was received in December of 2005. So I'm a newbie compared to y'all.
Well,
but it's my 20th year this year.
yes, which is wonderful. And Neal, tell me about yourself.
Okay. I was raised in the Lutheran church,
Okay.
a huge church. I decided to take a job here in Ennis, and pretty soon I found out there wasn't a Lutheran church here. So my wife at the time was a Catholic also, and she was not real happy with the parish here, and for a number of reasons. And one day she said, "Why don't we go visit the Episcopal church?" And so we both fell in love with it, and that was in maybe mid-1969. We're both still Episcopalians, but obviously the marriage didn't work anyway.
But we've had you all this time.
Right.
And this was before St. Thomas moved from Preston Street.
Right, we were at Tyler
And Sherman, I'm sorry. So Neal's seen us grow from there over to our current location. Would you share with the reason why you enjoy being Episcopalian, what it means to you?
Well, I love this church family for one, and the service is very similar to the Roman Catholic, which is what I grew up in, and but with less guilt trip, I think is a good word. It just feels like home. I love this little church, and I love everybody here. So.
We are a family. Feels very much like a family. What about you, Neal?
Well, from the very beginning, I felt at home and have enjoyed friendships with basically everybody here. Just seemed like the place I should be.
Well, I think that's wonderful, and it's good that you found out at that time here all this whole time. Do you have a special church service or a special event that we do at St. Thomas that you'd like to share?
Kind of both.
Okay.
I love our Christmas service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that it's way different from every service, but the church is always so beautiful, and I just love that. And I think my favorite event is Seder.
Yes.
Because it's just such it's kind of intense, but I don't know, I just love the meaning and everything behind that.
The story of the Passover is so meaningful, it really is. And Neal?
My favorite event, I think, would be the gumbo supper.
Yes.
Brings a lot of people in from other denominations. And seems like I still know quite a few people around town. It's good to see them repeat every year. I just like any service that we have the Eucharist, which is every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
I don't really have any specific day that I enjoy more than any other.
Well, in your last question, what are the changes that
Oh,
you have
wow.
seen in St. Thomas? Neil, why don't you start, because you remember the church when it was smaller.
I came here a few years after Dennis Smart was here, Father Smart.
Yes.
And I guess that was the high point of our church up to then. There was a gradual decline after that. A number of different things, controversies were raging, like changing the 28 prayer book and
Yes.
Women in the priesthood. Different things divided the church. It got down to where we almost felt like we might not make it, but God blessed us very much with some enthusiastic new people, and we now have young people in Sunday school, and we're really booming, I feel like, right now. I'm so happy to see that.
It is wonderful, isn't it? And Linda?
Well, of course, all the things
Mhm,
that
that Neil.
Neil said, but one of the things that I, as treasurer, have seen is the fact that we're solvent, you know, that we don't stress about having to, if we have an emergency or even really just meeting our monthly
Mhm.
obligations, and that is a true blessing, not to mention, even though, I mean, you know, we got to, what, 20 maybe? And even though we've got new members, it hasn't changed the dynamics as far as feeling like a family. It just feels like our family has grown. And one thing I wanted to say about why I became an Episcopalian that I totally went out of my mind was when I first came here, Father Smart was here, and I had lost my dad, you know, fairly recently, and he and Jean just kind of took me under their wing, and I'll always be grateful, and I loved him, still do, and miss him, but he played a big part in my deciding to stay here.
Dennis and Jean Smart were, the priest and his wife were here and raised their children for part of the time. And we're here and initiated our move over to Park Street now. And so he has been in and out of our church lives a great deal. That has meant so much. And
he had, what, 2 or 3 different tours here?
yes,
He was on his
Yeah,
third
before,
one.
yeah, he was on
He
his second
started
one.
here, and then they took him to Corsicana, then he went to Pampa, and he came back here. And then I think he might have retired or something, but came back. Anyway, he was here for three different times, and so he's kind of our founder of our generation, just so to say that. And as Neil and Linda have said, we are growing, and we've just expanded, as Linda can attest, to a new parking lot here and doubled it. So anyway, thank you all so much for
You're welcome.
visiting today, and I just really appreciate it, and we enjoyed it. Thank you.